So welcome to the Radio Detection 7100 introduction to the transmitter and receiver, and just a quick overview on the different components that you'll be receiving when you receive your locator. So first you have your bag. Everything fits nicely into the bag. I've obviously pulled it out already, but it'll all fit in there. It also comes with a soft copy manual so that you can refer to this if you're out in the field and there's anything that you might have forgotten. You don't need to go onto your phone or to a laptop. You can pull out the manual and you should be able to figure out most of the basic stuff from your manual here. So this is your receiver, which most of you probably used at one time or another. Different models. This one again here is the 7100 that you'll be using. And here's your transmitter. In this case I have a TX10. I don't have a TX5 with me, so you will have the TX5. And it's the difference between the TX10 and the TX5 is just a lot more transmitting. This is a 10 watt versus the TX5, which is a 5 watt transmitter. For the applications for the cable industry, TX5 is more than adequate, as you don't have extremely long distances on your coax. In the transmitter, there's two little clips. You're going to undo the clips, pull your transmitter off, and inside you will find your direct connection leads. And you'll have a ground reel, spool of ground wire that you can use to extend your ground if you wanted to get it to a ground spot and have a much longer ground, longer than the one that's on here. And then you also have a ground stake, so you can stick that into the ground for when we're going to do our locates. And there's some rocks there, so we'll just stick that all the way in. And this is where you would hook up your black lead, and then of course your red lead is going to go to your cable. There's also a magnetic little clip here that you can use for when you're locating to, let's say you want to use a signpost as your ground instead of using this one here. All right. You also have a 2-inch clamp that's going to come with the locator, and that's for going around your cable so you don't have to disconnect anything. And obviously when you go around your cable, you just make sure that the clamp is touching between these two parts here, otherwise it won't create the magnetic field that's needed. And when you're hooking up your transmitter cables, there's a little flap here and you'll see that arrow. And if you look very closely on the end connector for your clamp, there is a little arrow on this one, and on the direct connect lead there's another arrow. This big arrow here will go directly and line up with the arrow that's on the flap when you open it up, and it plugs in. And then on the clamp lead, there's a little arrow right there indicating, and another little arrow just inside. You'll see another little arrow there. You line those two arrows up on the inside, and just let me turn it, and it clips in, and now you're all hooked up and ready to go. So there's a quick introduction to the transmitter and receiver, and for our next one we'll be looking at how to get into the menus and set up your transmitter and receiver so that you can locate your cables.